guys, welcome back. It's Ryan McDowell with Fairly Awesome Podcast, and we are in for episode 16 of the Fairly Awesome Podcast. I'm joined, as usual, by the Bushing brothers. First, Nate Bushing.
What's up, guys?
Josh Bushing, his brother.
16 candles.
I don't get the reference. We've got Chris Keene.
Hello, everyone. I love you, too.
Hopefully, this episode works out a whole lot better than Josh's 16 Candles reference.
Oh.
Okay, so...
We all want to be Molly Ringwald, that's understandable.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Not like this, Josh. Not like this.
Right. So starting it off, we all went and saw Captain America 2, and I think we can all say that movie was epic and totally worth it.
Yep.
Kind of redeemed the Captain America franchise for me.
Yes.
I had my doubts on the first one, and I know that's a mixed thing. But anyway, it sort of got us all looking forward to a lot of movies that are coming out this summer, too.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we first talk about the movies that are coming out this summer, and then we can talk about, do you think there's a science behind being able to predict which movies are going to be good and which ones are going to be bad? Do you think we're to that point yet that we sort of know what's going to work? I mean, at least we know what makes a good trailer now, right? I mean, you throw Brahms in there.
Yes.
Yeah, you just have to have the
Right.
bombs and
Some
the
like
epic
flashing.
Yeah,
Right.
like flashing.
quick
Words
cuts.
will fly faster at your face.
Right, and it depends. If it's scary, then it's got to be a lot of eyes.
And
you
the
know?
screeching violins.
Yeah, lots of
Still
like,
Brahms.
music tension.
Brahms got to be in there for almost anything, even
Well,
if it's a
yeah.
love story.
Yeah.
But the Brahms-
Even if it's a Brahms.
Wait, that might...
Oh,
Is
I
it
don't-
different?
Which
I
love
was
story
like,
are we
I
going
was
with?
like, is that a love story or is that a love story?
Brazzers Motion Pictures? Okay. All right. So first one, movies that are coming out this summer. We don't really have to get a huge in-depth list here because I think there's a lot to talk about on this topic. But
I was gonna say, what is coming out this summer? Like, I'm
Movies.
Yeah, besides movies, obviously, but like, give me some rundown here, Ryan.
Guardians of the
Help me out
Galaxies.
Talk about Guardians of the
here. Okay, yes, definitely excited about that one. I think it's gonna do well.
Yeah.
I think so. I
It
think
looks like it'll be like even more additive. Like Robert Downey Jr. in Avengers really takes the humor and like amplifies it. I'm hoping that like you have multiple casts of funny characters within this will make it.
we
like,
saw the trailer.
really-
Yeah,
an
we
extended
did. We
trailer.
did. Yeah.
and it was nice.
Yeah.
It had the Firefly sort of like, you know, Wild West in space feel to it.
Yeah.
Sarcastic. Sarcastic, yeah.
Yeah.
Sarcasm, the dry humor. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, I think that'll be good.
I'm looking forward to it now.
Yeah, definitely.
There is Godzilla, the third time around.
Guaranteed to make you deaf.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
think
God.
that's the
Breaking Godzilla.
It seems to be like every time we go, they've taken it's like the next person to keep going up. The
Guys,
five
we're,
death-
we're
that-
getting old. That's what
But
it
maybe
is.
that's what it
We're
is.
getting
I don't
old.
know. I don't know, man.
I don't know.
That
It
IMAX,
If we were getting old, we'd be getting deafer, and I went deafer in that theater watching that because, oh my God.
no, that's
There's
I
some
know, it's
high
like-
notes that I can't hear anymore now.
I can stand in front of an amp all day, like a guitar amp all day, and not get as deaf as I was after that Godzilla scream. That's all I
Yeah,
gotta
it's-
say.
I'm going to recommend that people, if you're going to go see Godzilla, don't see it in an IMAX theater so that you don't go flipping deaf every
Your
time.
eyes will be mad at you, but your ears will be like, "Thank you, Jesus."
Nobody understands that he has teeth pain. That's all he needs. Just get him some Sensodyne and he's
Yes, yes.
Nice.
good. All right, so trying to think about other movies that are coming out this summer. Really, those are the two I'm excited for.
That was it.
The Avengers isn't this summer.
No, that's next.
2015.
I was gonna say 2015 to me is like the year of the movies because that's when we're gonna get Star Wars. We're gonna get Avengers 2, I believe, is that
Yeah,
year?
the Age of Ultron.
Yeah, everybody's really excited about that one.
Superman versus Batman comes out next year.
Is that 2015?
Oh, that's what he said.
2016.
Yeah, I thought it was 2016.
Oh, that's right. Captain America 2.
Man, we
Comes
really
out,
should
yeah.
do
3.
more research.
3.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah. we should.
Damn you. Yeah. So anyway, though, so like I said, we didn't have to go super in depth with what movies are coming out. But can we predict now? Do we think we can know which ones are going to be cheesy and which ones are going to be good before you get to the theater?
Good as in make money for the studio, or good as in we walk out of them critically?
Yeah,
Like, because I would say that Pacific Rim critically lauded as far as, no, kind of, I guess I would say critically lauded, but it didn't do that well. Like, it didn't do that well over the summer because of probably where it came out of. There was like so many movies in the last year that were really good that came out that summer, and Star Trek Into Darkness I think was out that year, and we had all like a rampant rage of
we've had
summer movies.
But a lot of them are just there seems to be just like this tie-in where the sequels tend to do better because you've got these baseline characters that you continue to see in movies over and over and over again.
Maybe for the Marvel franchise, I think.
Yeah.
That's where it kind of
I mean, you don't have to. I don't think you have to have
what
that.
we're missing is science fiction movies and
maybe.
TV shows.
Maybe.
This is like the one thing that they're like just not.
But that doesn't really. I mean, that maybe because they haven't critically done well in the past, and that's what.
Yeah, that's true. It's all fueled by those.
I think they're just expensive to do.
Yeah.
And not be super niche. I mean, I'm gonna say it's super niche, and then we'll get annihilated. But like a Babylon 5 or a Battlestar Galactica or something like that.
But it is.
It's not super niche, but I mean,
it's not Lost.
Well, and it's not a right. It's not prime time.
That's just it. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. People aren't necessarily into it. I mean, if they showed them during those time frames, would people be into it as more?
I would say science fiction does better on the big screen than it does on the small screen right now. Like besides like Battlestar and all that, but
you have like a budget.
Star Trek Into Darkness did pretty well last summer. I know it made money, obviously, but I don't know if it was
well enough that they're going to keep doing movies.
They'll keep doing movies, right? So, but not enough to say
let's do a show.
Yet.
I think
it's there.
we could, and I think we already had that conversation.
Discussion.
Yeah, right.
But
they probably could do something in the reboot, universe. But
I would say there's analysts that try to predict what will succeed and what won't, and you kind of don't know until you see the movie.
I don't know. Like I'll say this only because it's quasi relevant to the movie we just saw. But when the first Captain America went out, really the only thing that made me want to go see it is I knew he was going to be an integral character to Avengers. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go see it.
Did you see it in the theater?
Yeah,
I saw it in the theater.
Saw it.
Captain
and
see, I watched it on Netflix.
The trailer, I was like, this is going to be bad. And it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be horrendous. And it wasn't that. It was, of the Avenger prequels, maybe only Hulk was worse.
Yeah. Well, Hulk wasn't really that bad. I mean, you're
Avengers was
which
just,
one though?
Or I'm sorry, Captain America was just really cheesy though.
Yeah.
I think that's the point though. Like, there's a certain level of cliche that goes along with Superman and Captain America and all those types, like those like 1950s propaganda types where they're just, you fuel people into like, America,
nationalistic.
Yeah, it's very nationalistic pride. And it's kind of roped up into
the superheroes that still use fists instead of something else.
Yeah,
it's like American justice. I told my girlfriend, I was like, I would watch a Mystery Science Theater version of Captain America Winter Soldier with like every time he punched something, somebody yelled America. I would totally watch that. I would totally watch that. And I would laugh every time.
Well,
it would never get old.
We're such cynic nationalists.
But the scene where he was like hitting the punching bag, would it just be like America, America, America? No?
Combo breaker.
I think you would have to Falcon Punch a few times.
Yeah.
All right. Now here's the other thing. In the past, like maybe when we were growing up, you'd check the paper and you'd actually see what the critics thought of the movie before going to it.
Yep.
Right?
Because they would see it
the
before
paper.
You would though, right?
Yeah, we would.
3 stars.
I mean, because this was like really pre
call that number to find out what was playing.
Yeah, it was pre-internet.
Movie phone.
But I mean, maybe not truly pre-internet, but pre-mass internet.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't get on the
same
internet to look for.
Not everybody had a website. There wasn't like
Exactly.
movietickets.com.
Exactly. So
or any
you
of
go
that.
on there and you find out how many stars, and if it was like 2 or 3 stars, you'd rely on those critics to say, I guess I'm not going to that one, or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many movies you were like, oh, I definitely want to go see that, because they didn't used to do trailers like as much as they do now either.
Yeah.
So
think those trailers are just terrible these days, though.
Yeah.
I think this is a prediction. Like, if I notice that your trailer makes a zombie film or a love film or something like that look like a AAA blockbuster, probably not gonna go see it simply because they're trying too hard. And we were making jokes about the Brahms, but I think that's kind of an indicator if like.
Trailers have gone the way of like Main Street pop music, where they have a formula. They're the Brahms, and they have the, like we were saying, with the words flying at you and everything, to the point that it almost turns me off now. Yeah, and I don't even want to watch trailers. I just want to like know what the movie is going to be about, and then just go if it's like in my criteria.
Yeah. And some of that was, like in older movies, there were like a couple trailers, like 2 or 3 trailers. Now it's friggin' 15 minutes of trailers, 4 or 5 minutes of commercials. That's like I show up at 8:30 to watch a movie that doesn't actually start until 9:45 because of all the trailers and junk in front of it. It kind of sours you a bit on having to sit through trailers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need, since Chris is our resident video expert here, I'm gonna need you to make a To Kill a Mockingbird trailer. Or like
yeah, that would be awesome. Like, take the most like laid back movie you can think of and just put the freaking trailer music over it.
Right. I think it'd be hilarious.
That's and they do it all the time. That's why people make like spoof trailer.
You should make
YouTube's all over the place.
Texas Ranger.
All right, so reining this back into what I was saying is we'd look at these critic ratings to know whether we should go see the movie or not, right?
Yeah. Right.
Anymore, I'm more interested in the user ratings.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
You can't really look at the user ratings before the movie's out. You know what I'm saying? Because people are just rating it based on this movie's going to be good.
I think this movie's going to be the greatest. 5
or
stars.
bomb just because I don't like whatever. Whoever's in it or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you got to wait a little bit for the huge amount of people to watch it. So like if you watch it post opening weekend, I think you can depend on those. And generally, I agree with, like if you use movietickets.com or Fandango or something like that, they'll have like the ratings right there, or like the Rotten Tomatoes rating or whatever. Right. I almost find those more similar to my taste than,
useful.
Well, in general, like the user reviews are going to be from, when you can count on them once the movie's actually been out. They're going to be from people who wanted to see the movie in the first place.
Right, because they paid money to see it.
Right, so you're going to get a review of somebody that is enough like you that were like, hey, I want to really go see this movie. Here's, my impression of this movie after I went and watched it. So you're not likely to get, well, I really like romance movies, but I went and saw this sci-fi movie, and I think it's fucking terrible. And wasn't enough.
Why did you go to a science fiction movie?
Right.
Well, another thing on that note is like Netflix or Amazon Prime or maybe even Hulu Plus or Vudu or whatever, like streaming services. You can see like the star rating that it gets.
Yeah.
I find that to actually be pretty good. You know?
Opposite for me. I actually find that I will take whatever rating it gave it and drop it by 2 stars arbitrarily because
nothing can be above 3 stars for Nate Bushing.
No. Just because what they have given things
since
like
over the top, there has been no perfect movie made.
No, but there was like some horrible cheesy horror stuff that I saw that was rated like 4 to 5 stars by other users, and I'm like, it was awful. I can't name it, but I know it was absolutely atrocious, like below B quality.
If you're on Netflix, it should be like your ratings. I think that's what he was saying. Like Netflix is based on your viewing ratings. So
I don't ever give ratings to anything.
You should probably rate some stuff.
Probably.
That's how that system works.
Okay.
Netflix,
I thought it was based on user rating, though.
I was still talking about user ratings, but
your Amazon ones are.
Amazon is interesting because it does episode, like per episode. If it's for a series, it'll give a rating per episode. So like there was, I was watching X-Files. And there was one, and I was like watching them, and they were all like, first season it was like 4-star, 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 or like 4-star and change, or 3-star and change, but right around the 4-star rating. And then there was one episode that was like 2 stars, and I'm like, what the hell's this? And I'm not just gonna skip an episode, but I watch it, and it is the worst episode ever. You know, if you've ever seen it, it's a face on Mars.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I actually missed watching that through the first time the
Effing
series was
skip
out,
it.
and it was worth missing it the first time through, because when I rewatched it, I was like, oh my god, this is awful.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah.
So in those instances, the per episode ratings are actually pretty good. You know,
Yeah, that's
skip
nice.
it.
Well,
And-
even like buying stuff from them is good. Like, I just follow the ratings. If there's something low or whatever, they'll be accurate enough.
Yeah.
Hey, don't buy this. It's crap. Or,
And
hey, this was great.
Yeah, usually the junk reviews you can kind of pick out because it's pretty obvious. It's like
It was broken
it's
when I got it.
Right. Like
Yeah.
it's the 1-star review that's like, this took 7 days instead of 5 days to ship, so I gave it a 1-star rating. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Thank you for not actually rating the product.
Yeah.
Right.
But rating the shipping
Rating your
service?
shipping service.
Good
Yeah.
job.
I feel sorry for the seller.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
No.
bunk shipping.
It would be kind of interesting to see. I'm sure Netflix probably can't do it, but since Netflix bases the ratings of their movies based on like what you've rated in the past, if they had some way to say, you know, these movies are coming out, here's what we think you would think of this movie and this movie.
Oh,
this
based on
And
how
I,
you
and
rate
I think
based
they
on
do,
on your
actually.
own-
Don't they have an
used to,
algorithm?
like, have a thing that said
He's
new.
saying for movies coming out.
Oh,
movies
for movies
coming
coming
out.
out. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I mean, like, I guess if it's all based on user feedback, I mean, there wouldn't be any user feedback for movies that aren't out yet. But it would still be kind of interesting to see if they could do is basically take, you know, at least a handful of ratings, compare them to, you know, other movies those people have rated and kind of adjust them to other people.
They should probably make a profession for this, you know,
should.
like maybe like a data miner, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay, so we were
Trolling aside, yeah.
Yes, we were talking about streaming services just a minute ago, and one thing that I kind of want to talk about is streaming games. This has been something that we've talked about
A lot, actually.
Yeah, and it's kind of been pushed out there. Sony's been saying some stuff about it that, oh hey, sometime soon you'll be able to stream games directly to you. And
you can on your Vita, right? Right now,
well,
remote play.
the idea is that you can you don't need the game even on your local device.
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
going to work like a VNC or a
Right.
go to
This
my
is-
PC
this is-
or
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, this is remote streaming.
Right.
Just to clarify, this is not sharing the game from my PS4 to my PS Vita.
Not running
No.
it locally.
Right.
The Shield.
This is like on live.
NVIDIA's Shield, right? Is their portable...
Mm-hmm.
It can do
Upgraded-
this now. Yeah.
upgraded,
Apparently they just released
Engage.
This, like,
Yep.
Yeah, basically.
Engage.
They I think it was either last week or sometime early 2 weeks ago. They had announced that
Yeah, there was
driver
some-
support.
So
for
what
it.
service does it go through?
I don't know what service. I think they use their own.
Yeah, it's
it's part of their
proprietary, I'm
like
pretty sure.
driver download or whatever.
So the question is, can you ever? I mean, what can you even expect out of that? Can you?
It has to be on the same network.
Well,
No,
I mean,
it's not.
It's not, though?
No, they were saying that as long as you had, 5 megabit or whatever before that you could stream it. Mm-hmm. You know, like if your computer was downstairs and you were upstairs, you could stream it as long as it was on the same network.
But here's the thing. I mean, for graphics, right? I mean, the graphics we're getting into, they're way above 5 megabit in terms of what the bandwidth is going to your TV.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So, and at 60 frames a second, 1080p, I mean, that is a large number. Mm-hmm. You know, in
Is there a
terms
way
of,
to reduce that just to show it kind of like
You're probably not
Do you-
going to get like
You'll get a
live
720p.
gameplay.
Yeah.
You either get lower resolution, you'll get skipped frames, you'll get a lower, lower frame rate.
input delay?
I don't know that the speed is going to. I mean, there will be input delay just because it's remote. But I mean, as far as like video quality of the game, they're going to have to do something to reduce it so that you can stream the game and play it.
Like compressed 720 or something?
Yeah, some sort of compression, or like I said, like they will drop frames that they can't. It'll be like a. I'm not gonna get technical. I was gonna say it'll be like UDP, where it just sends you the stream and you get what you get, and if it drops out, okay, it'll pick back up when it picks back up.
Yeah.
So here's the question: what sorts of games would you even trust on that?
Probably like
Minecraft.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say something not first-person shooter twitchy. It would have to be
In
like
which
strategy-based
case, in which case,
games.
those types of games where it's not so graphics intensive.
Yeah.
Are you even worried about I mean,
would you even stream something like that?
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The
probably
only instances in which I'd be truly interested in that is like, my laptop can't run. I mean, it's pretty beefy, but laptop video cards only get so good.
Yeah,
You know?
not without spending a fortune on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And, so it would have to be like that latest stuff that I would even want to stream
Right.
that I can't run locally.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, do we even see that sort of stuff working? I mean, your bandwidth would have to be just immense for it to...
That's one of the pushes for gigabit LAN
Yeah.
back then. I mean,
Gigabit ISP.
yeah. So, I mean, that helps that out. So, I mean, if you continue... Games have always seemed to be one of those, like,
Burgeoning
areas
forces.
that just kind of, okay, well, we programmers, what can you do with this tech? Well, we can do this. And they're like, oh, I see. How about this?
Yeah.
And so then they
There's always a sales and marketing push between
It's true,
the
too.
programming and they want to sell this technology.
And the
so
smart
they push
people
it,
that
push
like
it.
that maybe stick up with it, but every so often end up upgrading. That it's the most bang for your buck kind of upgrades where you can wait until that point in time.
Yeah.
Where you're
I
finally
think people would
okay.
pay. I think
Yeah.
people would pay for it. I think they'd pay for a streaming service that was
Well, yeah, you wouldn't have to...
reliable.
You could just get any sort of entry-level, like a netbook or something.
Well, and even an I think ISPs.
Or you're saying stream from like a service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because like the Sony one that they were talking about, Gaikai, was that it's going to be running on some server somewhere, and you'll be able to play, let's say,
It's thin
PS4
client.
games on your
Okay.
PS3.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
See, now that's interesting, but it would be ridiculous as far as bandwidth.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Well, but maybe not. I mean,
I'm
if they
gonna-
take how much? I mean, they can do 4K now, right? For Netflix, for certain areas can do 4K.
Yes. Only
It's
only
like
a
House of-
very little bit of
Yeah, it's the content.
House of
Yeah,
Cards
House
and
of
like
Cards,
a
yeah,
couple
that-
others.
Right, but they can still do it. Like, what's the streaming for that required?
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be one, a hardwired connection. So forget wireless anything.
Really?
Right.
I would think.
But I don't know.
Nah, because wireless is 50. Like my internet speed is 50 megabit, so
You're still hitting it.
50 meg down. still
Even
get
with
50
wireless
on
G, you're
wireless
still
G.
at 50.
At 50, yeah.
Easily.
Yep.
And you're definitely getting it with N.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll have to see. But 4K at 60 frames a second for a video game,
Ain't gonna happen.
uncompressed.
Ain't
That's
gonna happen.
rough.
That's the hard part. It's
I
uncompressed.
will
I
say-
can see it compressed.
I will say that at some point it is gonna be here. I mean, there
Yeah.
will be something
it's
like
getting
that. Do I think it's this gen?
Nah, probably
I
not.
really don't. I think the promise of PS4 games on a PS3, we're probably looking at PS5 games on a PS4.
Possibly. Yeah.
Or whatever. I mean, what do you guys think?
The interesting thing about what Sony plans to do with is it like PlayStation Go or PlayStation
Now,
They rename
PlayStation
it.
Now.
PlayStation, yeah,
Oh,
PlayStation Now.
what they've relabeled Gaikai?
Yeah.
Gaikai streaming is if you have the technology to do this. Like obviously you're doing this somewhere on a machine that is emulating the game.
Yeah.
You can also do this locally on the PlayStation. There should be no reason that PlayStation can't release an emulator to let you play your own games. And I think that's where they're going to run into a lot of pushback is big enough fans already have these games on disc or had them on disc.
Yep.
And they're not going to want to pay to access them, if they're still sitting on the rack next to your PlayStation.
Maybe.
Let me pose this to
Yeah.
you. If the PlayStation of the future is a
the
box
future.
about yay big, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And Ouya, what it needs is an HDMI connection or some kind of connection to go from that to your TV.
Yeah.
And all you need is, a network connection into it.
Yeah.
And you just streamed all your games. I mean, there's still going to be the purists that want them downloaded and whatnot.
Right.
And, honestly, for input delay and whatnot, just because every layer you add, it's a slight disadvantage to if you were just running it natively. But I don't know. I mean, I think that they could get away with selling a console for $100 or $200 because all the hardware is on the other end.
Right. I still think unless you manage to pull off something super magical there is not going to be. I mean, there has to be super fast internet to limit the input delay to, controller to console input delay.
I think there's a lot of people that do push back on the games, like if they've already bought them. But there's a lot of people that will still buy them. There's how many times has Final Fantasy VI
I suppose
been
a lot
re-released?
of that is price point.
Yeah,
If you
I think
make
that's
it
just
cheap
it.
enough, then people will still buy it.
Yeah,
unless
but
they have it.
like Nintendo doesn't drop their prices for anything.
Yeah.
I think I end up spending $30 for a Mario 3 for the Game Boy Advanced or whatever.
I was starting to think about, like, for the technology for this, even if, say it's not even a super thin client, like, what if you were able to, this stuff gets streamed to your little box that you have, but say that box has, like, a decent chunk of memory or RAM or something that can store the data in, and it streams that data in as the engine comes in. So say, I'm booting up and then I get part of the engine that needs to run. So you would have to write... You would have to write your game in such a way to allow that streaming almost.
Not as big of gain as there is in doing an ultra thin client, because then you still have to have hardcore CPU, you still have to have hardcore GPU, you still have to have loads of memory, you still have to have all the, you still have to have everything else. It's almost like you're trying to ask even more, and the only thing you're really saving in that instance from, let's say, digital distribution, where you download the entire thing and then play, the only thing you're cutting out there is the hard drive.
Is the hard drive, which
and
is
that's
not really
the cheapest
that
component in there.
Yeah,
it's true.
Well, I was thinking more maybe on the memory side and loading part of it into, like, if that
was possible, you could just use, if they would just code it differently so it only loaded the bubble around you or whatever. If they got better at that, they could do the same thing with digital distribution.
That's true. That's very true.
I can see the pushback on that being the instant you start actually loading the game to a remote like a remote host.
Yeah,
you run the risk of
pirating.
My hacked little PlayStation box can record what you're sending me to a USB thumb drive, and now I've got the game whenever I want to play it. So
that's true.
It may be.
Do you think you run as much risk with that as you do with digital distribution? Because you've got the game entirely downloaded.
Yeah.
It's not even just a slice of it.
And I would say it's encrypted too. they can encrypt that stream.
Yeah.
It's about the same threat, I would say.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe even a little bit less threat than digital distribution.
Yeah.
But
bygones. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? All right. There's been an awful lot of movies made from TV shows or movies made from games. Should we maybe be seeing it the other way? Should we be seeing some TV shows made from the movies at this point? I mean, is there some... Chris, you want to give us some insight on this?
Yeah. This kind of came up because when we went to go see Captain America, there was a trailer, if you want to call it for that, for the TV series Fargo from the movie Fargo. That is apparently like a dozen episode TV series on, I want to say FX, but I don't remember exactly where it was. But this was kind of done with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where they took they took a chunk of the Avengers and were like, hey, we're going to spin this off into a TV show. And I think that is kind of a big warning to anybody that really wants to go this route, because moving it to TV, with a movie you have 2.5 hours to tell a story. So you can pack the story in, and maybe you have to cut some stuff out. Maybe you Peter Jackson that shit and turn it into 3 movies. each of which then comes out with like a 3.5 hour extended cut.
You jam that trilogy in. You jam it hard.
But the issue when you move to TV is if you get overzealous with the number of episodes, or if you try to tell the movie story across a dozen episodes,
it can drag on.
You're gonna start to run into filler, and if the story isn't real well fleshed out, you're gonna kind of run into potentially introducing holes.
You almost need to set it up for perpetual episodes where everything comes back to a neutral point at the end, or unless you've got something like let's say Game of Thrones, where you've got such a huge story to tell that there really is no filler. Even if we ran the show for 5 years, we could do the whole thing without filler.
There's no source material there, but like with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I can kind of see that was kind of, like, I haven't watched it, but it was kind of okay because you could spin that off and say, you know, this exists in the same universe, and it's like what we complained about before. It exists in the same universe, but we rarely ever see all of this stuff going on in the movies brought up in the TV show. I think they're trying to do a little bit better job of that with, I think, the Sif from Thor, I think, made an appearance on the TV show.
Oh, okay.
And Colby Smolder's character has kind of bounced back and forth between the movies and the TV show.
Right.
But with Fargo, I'm like, Fargo was a pretty self-contained movie. It, you know, it made sense. It had, you know, a start and a finish. Like, are they going to take the movie and break it up into a TV show? So it's like, oh, I get to watch the movie again across 12 hours instead of 2 hours.
See, Fargo seems like a stretch to me to like try and turn it in, but
because it wasn't like it didn't just blow up either,
No.
did it? I mean, if this was like
15 years ago.
I don't know, maybe, but I mean, I was gonna say if it was something that was just like everybody was like, oh my god, give me more. If this was like, I hate to say it, but if this was a little while ago and it came right after, let's say, Harry Potter, and they were like, hey, we're going to do a TV show, I think that would work because there's more appetite for stuff like that. You know?
Right. No.
But yeah,
well,
Fargo was like mid-90s?
Yeah,
right.
Well, I was going to say, you know where that did work, though? Stargate SG-1.
Yeah.
Stargate,
the
you know,
TV
it was a movie,
show ended up being
show,
bigger than the movie.
Bigger than the movie. I think that's the one example I can think of where a TV show came after a movie that, like, it actually, I mean, that's how they did it right, but it's because Stargate was such a open-ended...
Right. That universe was potentially big enough.
Yes.
That
They
you could
spun it to make it big.
Yep.
Like the movie kind of just said it was just one dimension to go back and forth between those two worlds, but then the TV show spun it so that, you know, you added a plot thing.
Right.
So hey, there's this DHD or dial home device. Boom. I mean, we could go anywhere at that point.
Yeah.
I actually thought walking out of the theater that I wanted more of that.
Yeah.
That I was like, the potential is there. That was really awesome. I remember seeing it in the theater, thinking like that you know, that could be something, and it ended up being something. Like 4 years later, they made a show.
That was huge,
and it ended up being 10 season long, longest sci-fi running, and everything. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know about Fargo.
Shows.
I'm really, you know, curious how they are going to make that work.
Yeah.
Or why they chose Fargo.
Because it does seem like it's the opposite issue you have with a movie that gets made of a TV show. Is the movie sometimes kind of feels like a long episode.
Yeah, like the X-Files.
or it doesn't quite do it justice if it tries to tell the whole story arc. And
or you have like the Family Guy movies that's just like 4 episodes that kind of move together.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Doesn't really make sense.
Which is the sad part about like the later seasons of Futurama is that's what they were. Is they were were presented as a movie, and it was like 4 episodes that
pretty much
kind of
tied together,
flowed into each other. But yeah, so that's what I think here is instead of having a nice succinct movie, you have a long ass movie, and yeah, I don't see it working with Fargo, like you said, because it's been too long and it really was contained enough. I don't know that there's anything out there right now that I'd really say, hey, that would make a good TV series.
It depends on the concept, depends on the writing too. I mean, that's really what it is. If you have a good writing team, you can take anything and spin it the way you want it.
The interesting thing was like,
right?
Our topics earlier, we were talking about movies and like reviews, but it kind of pulls down to it. I spend more time now looking at writers and seeing who writes something, and that kind of goes with my judgment of what TV shows to watch too. Starting to pay more attention to those than just, acting. Yes, those are the characters I'll see, but I'm going to see, writing styles and, who's directing this. Are it actors that have really good acting skills and it's shown on the silver screen or on, the small set-top box? Mm-hmm. Those kinds of things matter now more so because time is limited, like free time at least. So that plays into a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think that helps if they're going to go that route where, you take some concept that's been like that and then spin it into it. You need somebody that's going to have some backbone to write a story that's going to, be interesting to pull you in and then keep you watching.
Or a universe like Blade Runner or something like that, where you see a glimpse of it and you're like, man, this is really cool, and you just want to know more about each of these things. And there's those little fish hooks that you want to tug on and get to
see where that goes.
Yeah, and see what goes on with it. So I don't.
That was one of the best parts of Stargate is that you had this little thing, and it opened up, a whole caveat of things when they got this kind of travel, or they got this kind of tech, or they opened up this kind of thing. And
it's easy to do in science fiction, I think.
Yeah,
where you have the limit. The limits aren't set. It's easier to write that way than it is to take something a little more grounded and down to earth.
Like, I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard so many horror stories of the last season of Walking Dead, where there's like nothing happens. Like a few characters
in season 4.
Yeah.
Oh,
but like nothing happens. Like nobody, like it doesn't really go anywhere, and everybody's like, okay, this is getting boring. So
that happened in season 2 for some people too.
Yeah,
they got to the farm.
I know, and it stalls, and that's the part that people get bored about is like if you're not going to go anywhere and the characters aren't getting developed, and you're just throwing in new characters, but then kind of putting in positions.
They're just existing.
Yeah,
it's like nobody wants to watch it, but just exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, but that didn't spawn from a movie either, though. I think. I mean, not just from a movie, because that was from comics.
Yeah, right.
But if there are some universes out there, specifically in the sci-fi realm, that I think could spin off into more. Like, I could see doing like a CG or whatever of Halo. I could see that as a TV series.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or do it like they did the like the YouTube miniseries, use some actors that you haven't really seen in anything else.
Forward on the Dawn.
Yeah. Do it like that, and I think that could be a format that gets a lot of attention. Maybe that's the perfect outlet for it. Is YouTube, where you can monetize it.
You could almost take something like what they did with, not Reach, ODST. Where it's the same universe, but this is actually
totally
this is far enough away that it's not like why don't I see anybody?
The shield concept, essentially, right?
Yeah, in this case, it's far enough away that you're not like where is this person at that I'm used to seeing in the main universe?
Right, it makes sense because you're just one ODST.
Right, that you're following.
That was my favorite game.
Yeah.
From the whole Halo series.
Really,
ODST.
Huh? A lot of people didn't like it.
I
like it.
I loved it. It was probably actually my
fun.
favorite too. Because of the tone it took on.
The tone was good. The writing was top notch.
But yes, can you think of? I feel like there's another show or something that spawned like not Arrow, but Smallville, I guess.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of spawned from Superman, but it was already.
Yeah,
what about
the comic?
Superman's kind of a
hit or miss. What
could they actually make a Star Wars that would be worth watching?
That is tough because
that's the hard part.
They've wanted to do it for years and talked about.
But they don't know
doing,
where to go with
bounty hunter, maybe, or a smuggler. They could take the I almost said Farscape or Firefly approach, and have like one ship that goes and.
Well, I mean, with the 7th movie coming out, they could potentially set something like that up. They could say, we've moved far enough past the people you would have expected to see in the TV series.
Yeah.
That it's like, we've got these new people and they can easily transition to the TV set. So
the thing you got to be careful about in a sci-fi TV show though is it needs enough like political and personal development because it's too expensive to do movie-like scenes every single time.
Especially
so the
with
universe
sci-fi.
has to be able to support that. So if you were smugglers, or if you were, or if you maybe took a hero's stance where you're following several different people, and at the end of the season it all meets up.
Right.
Maybe you do something like that, and that could work.
That actually would work really well in the Star Wars universe because there's so many unique, distinct, types of professions and people.
And I don't even know that you have to put it
those.
in the the Civil War period. I think you can probably put it back Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, you could do any of that.
Anything like that.
BioWare proved that.
I don't know. I'm kind of burnt out of old stuff. Like I want
Mass Effect would be a
we all
show.
know that
Oh
would
my
be a
God,
great
that would be
TV
awesome.
show. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, as much as we make a big deal about how much CGI and stuff costs, with the somewhat regular availability of ability to do CGI effects, like some of the stuff people are doing just in their free time, that are pretty decent looking. The dropping price of 3D printers, which would make more practical effects
for props and
props and
models,
like ships and models and stuff more feasible as far as, hey, I mocked this up, I printed it out, and now we're going to use it in the show without having to rely on somebody else to do all the legwork. I mean, this stuff combined might make TV shows of stuff that several years ago you'd have been like, well, we can't afford to make that, we can't afford to show any of this stuff. Now
that would be really interesting, especially if you could crowdsource your modeling. Be like, hey, we want to do a Halo TV show, but we need
the Needler or something,
right. We need the weapons and the ships 3D modeled so that we can 3D print them, and then go from there.
Yeah.
And so they get all that design work basically for free.
Yep.
That would be interesting, but anyway, I think there's definitely some potential there for more TV shows. I feel like we're in a little bit of a. There are some good TV shows, but we lost
a lot in the last year.
Yeah, I was gonna say
a lot of them closed up. I mean, it's just like finales on that areas. Maybe those people that write for those might get new jobs writing for others.
Yeah,
perhaps
some new stuff come down.
Perhaps. The other thing we should definitely be talking about is potential for desk aversion. And what I mean by that is we've seen people that used to game on PCs make a transition over to consoles, perhaps because they're headache free. I'm just messing.
Trolling Josh over there.
No. I mean, it is become.
Hang on, I got a barrel roll.
Oh God. No, because it is becoming increasingly convenient to game at a fairly high level on consoles.
Sure.
Not overly complex games, but at a fairly high level. I mean, it's still difficult to do like real-time strategy games. I mean, it's been done here and there. But we've seen people sort of migrate over to the console. Mm-hmm. Is that also possibly due to, if you have a PC, you almost have a whole area for it?
Yeah.
You have to dedicate a part of your house to a desk, and where's your tower going, and you got to get a monitor separate from your TV.
Yeah.
The console makes that all easier. Now, space isn't really my issue with having a desk, and I'll be the first to admit I'm not the biggest fan of a desk.
Yeah.
I like gaming on a console simply because it's casual. I can game from the couch.
You could kind of lay back and relax and do it for more hours than you would sitting at a desk all hunched over.
Yeah, and we sort of saw the proliferation of not just gaming from the couch either, right? Mm-hmm. You got not game specific stuff, but console specific stuff like the rocker. Right, you saw those chairs that like fold in half.
Look like a banana.
That had like the speakers built in and
or whatever.
Controllers and stuff like that.
But that became kind of not mainstream, but much more common. That people were getting their gaming chair, and just setting up
like
in front
10
of
years,
the TV.
The last 10, 15 years.
And I think we've also been seeing a little bit of proliferation of like gaming specific workstations. Now this kind of goes back the other way a little bit from desks because it takes a dedicated space, but like for example, I am like way into racing games, so I have a rig or a chassis or whatever you want to call it. It's a racing seat that has like the setup for pedals and steering wheel and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But there's like the Ubuntu gaming rig, which has a spot for keyboard and could have flight sticks and whatnot on there.
I think part of that is ergonomic too, right? I mean, when you're sitting at a desk and you're trying to PC game for hours, it gets uncomfortable. If you don't have a nice desk or a nice chair and everything, like
you start to get that,
you get that hunch back. You don't have that nice couch,
because it is a lean forward experience, isn't it?
And it is, but I think it's also because we as human beings have always had these horrible desks for so long. We got so used to working at these workstations that were tiny, and I think that's part
cubicles, that kind of thing.
Yeah, cubicles and putting people in spaces that aren't necessarily the most good for their bodies. And I work at a desk all day as well. So like for me to come home and want to sit at a desk, I don't want to. When I come home, I want to actually like you know, if I want a game, I would rather prefer to sit in like a rocker or something, lean back to kind of have that. Even if, you know, even if I could console or PC game that way, I would. And it sounds like there's options that are starting to come out, and like there's a market that's out there because I think people want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be able to game for 5 hours on Friday night after I get home from work and not feel like I'm a zombie the next day that needs to be folded up and put in a freezer or something, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. The Ubato is pretty good.
There's some sort of chiropractic on speed.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say, hey, I had a gaming
time.
session again. God, yeah, get the roller. I'm gonna need it.
Right.
Yeah, but I think there's another company that's doing it. Is Empress?
That's the name of it.
The name is the Empress, but it's a workstation that basically has the
This thing is ridiculous.
has the monitor attached, and it comes down, and it has all the like adjustments, and it's like, you know, $5,000 in buy-in. You know,
yeah,
for,
That's a little too high.
It's-
But the
it's too much.
Ubato is like $600-700.
Yep, it's $700 for the high end, and then like 200 something or whatever, 300 for the low end.
To just start building.
Yeah, well, for the lower, there's two different models. I think they have like a Revolution and another one that's higher level. I think I can't remember what it's called, but they call their gaming chairs the cockpits or whatever.
Yeah,
because
that's
they
cool.
build them almost to that. You know, if you want to have the simulation type experience with your
The sim things are probably picking up.
Yep.
And it seems like that's a good thing, I think.
I like that.
Coming back.
I think the chair is most important, you know, like having almost like a car seat, like you were talking about simulation, really helps because those are usually designed with long travel in mind, so long periods of sitting.
Mine is like an F1 seat, like it is stupidly low. I think my butt is like a half inch off the floor.
Yep.
And it's like really reclined. I
Yep.
mean, it's like a rocker if you would push your feet way back.
Yep.
You know, it's a really reclined state. And actually, even when I'm not playing racing games, that's what I sit in when I game, and I can sit there for hours and hours.
I was going to say
and
your back
hours.
probably doesn't get sore at all from that.
No, it
Yeah.
doesn't. And what I've done, my PC is hooked up right there. What I've done is I've just taken to a wireless keyboard that has like a little touchpad on it for now. But if I can, you know, modify that to put the keyboard on there or something like that, you know, I've already got a spot for a mouse down next to me. But
What would it take? Like, what kind of buy-in would you need for that? Like, what was a good price range? I guess for like, would you buy a workstation at home or like something like that, even to game in, even if it was, or is that kind of
it makes space an issue again.
Yeah, that like I don't know that my living room would be big enough to contain something that size. Like his racing chair would take up probably
too much?
a quarter to a third of my living room.
Yeah.
And then I'd have to find a place to put it so the kids didn't climb on it or sit in it or
Right.
whatever. So, yeah, I would definitely not be the target audience for something like that. So I don't know that there'd be a good price point that would get me into anything.
Yeah, I
like
mean,
that,
you kind of have it already by having a couch and a gaming console, you know,
Yeah.
but if you're into PC gaming at all and you want to have that bridge between the two
Yeah.
without setting a mouse and a keyboard on your couch, which is awkward, like if they could figure out a way to make that less awkward, I think they could, you know, I think there was another company that was doing trying to do like a keyboard tray that you could like set on your lap that had the mouse on it, and it was kind of like almost angled in a way. You would set it on there, and it just didn't work out. They did. I think they.
I mean, those
stopped shipping
stands are
those.
always
I
kind
think
of.
almost said the Razor. I feel like it was it was called Razor something. Or
Cytec makes one that is like this little stand that comes up, and it's got like two little, you know, it's got a keyboard tray, and then it's got like two little things off to the side that kind of come down from it.
You would really have to have a nice like tray. They'd have to come up with some sort of technology that you could move it and everything together too.
That's the hard part too. Is like I was looking for something like this, but I just couldn't find anything in the price point. I didn't find that.
What did you?
I just ended up getting a glass desk or whatever.
Like an L desk or something?
Yeah, it's kind of L-shaped or whatever, and it's just set up, and I've got the one monitor here to the side, and another one on the other side to that, and then my Xbox is like right next to it.
These things, these rigs make multi-monitors so easy.
Yes.
I know, and that's kind of what I was hoping to do is get multi-monitor, and I was holding out for the Oculus. Damn you, Facebook.
We'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah,
I'm
I would
still
still,
excited for it.
I would still
But
not hold out.
But I I still think multi-monitor might be
The way to go.
the wave of the future, and I might set something up just because I can easily replace. I don't even have to move too much. I think just the chair and maybe some stuff in the background or whatever, and just move it out of the way, and then I can probably set something up. Like
How much
that.
you end up spending on a desk? Because desks aren't cheap.
Yeah.
The glass one, I think it was around $300.
That's actually not bad.
$279, I think, from Amazon.
That's pretty good.
I think I paid that much for my wood desk. I think it
20
was
or
like
something
300
for the
or
like
something.
LED thing that I put around the outside. It's got the color thing with the remote. It's pretty
Yeah.
yay.
I guess I didn't really think about it until you were talking about it, but yeah, I can understand the desk aversion because if you sit at a desk all day,
Yeah,
you don't
that's-
want to come home and game on what you were sitting at all
Yes.
day. The other thing, which might explain kind of why the lap, keyboard and mouse things don't work, is the ergonomics of it.
Yeah.
You're always told sitting, in a chair like this for hours on end is bad for you because your legs are pinched up.
Yep.
And it cuts off circulation and it sucks. And with a keyboard, you're supposed to have it below like your normal hand.
Yeah, you're supposed to be parallel.
It's supposed to be like
your elbows
down
are
from
parallel.
you,
Like,
you
if
can
I
type on it like
if I think about it, like that feels comfortable.
yeah.
And for our,
That's where they-
for our audio
right.
listeners, Ryan might have his hands where they shouldn't be.
They were on the joystick.
Oh yeah, the simulation.
But yeah,
Oh god,
so-
the simulation is incredible.
So the keyboard's supposed to be down, but any kind of lap thing, you're going to want to sit in your lap and have it, and it's going to end up being
right.
too high.
Yeah.
And there's no real way unless you sit it.
It needs to be on like a
flat.
swing arm or something.
Right.
Yeah, unless you can get it
that's-
flat
that
on
you
your.
can easily switch to free move, but
And
then
then lock.
into place or
Right.
whatever. So yeah,
Yeah. So I can see where desks would be a no-go, but yeah, I think it's going to be kind of hard to convince people to move away, to have something other than their couch.
Yeah.
If that's what you're used to sitting on and you're kind of limited on space, why would I buy something else?
Yeah, I guess it's more probably for the geared towards the PC gamer niche audience who are tired of.
Do you think maybe you'd see, I guess we would call it functional furniture, where you see furniture with built-in connectors. So you have your couch, in the side has a USB port or some audio.
Oh, that
ports
would
or
be
something
cool.
like that.
And then run the.
Right.
It's like it's
So
just a hub.
it's a plain recliner.
Yeah.
Maybe a love seat or whatever, so you could
Get some
love
love.
your waifu while you're playing
Waifu.
video game.
what are you using
Because
those
that doesn't
USB
happen.
plugs for?
Oh, battery operated, not
No,
necessary.
no batteries necessary. But yeah, so it would have
It's got USB on it.
it's got like
It's
USB
hooked up
ports
to the
and-
Xbox Rumble.
So yeah, USB and audio ports and stuff that you could run a cable around the room to get back to your console and stuff, and then most everything is wireless now anyway, but it would at least eliminate even more wires if there are any, because you still kind of run into issues like the headsets. Unless you're going to shell out $150 or $200 for a headset, it's still going to be wired in, and you're going to have that cord running through the middle of the room.
So if they get better at some of those accessories and how they
Yeah.
work, maybe, like you said, specialized furniture might make,
Yeah.
make sense. Which is really what the Ubuntu thing is.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
specialized furniture is all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, part of it is because we're just unwilling to waver on keyboard and mouse. That's
Yeah.
PC, that's our interface for PC. That's
Yeah.
really what part of it is,
Yeah, well, they haven't had anything decent come up from that. I mean, there's touchscreen or whatever, and I can finagle on this all day and type huge paragraphs, and I'm good. But
yeah.
that much faster or more so on the keyboard.
On a full-size keyboard. And,
Yeah.
Well, who knows? I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. We'll see whether Nate ends up getting the Ubuntu.
I think I'm probably going to get it. It's going to be a
it's
while.
a matter of time.
Yeah, it's going to be a little while, but I think I want to get one because I do get tired of sitting down at the desk, especially because I spend all day, in a desk, and then I come home and I pretty much spend all night in a desk. I'm going to end up all hunchback at Notre Dame before this is all over.
Hey guys, we think of gaming?
I can't raise my shield to defend the Spartans. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
That's a 300 joke. Sorry.
Right.
John Madden the joke over
Yes,
there.
I did.
Punchline.
Right. What you want to do is make a funny statement and then give eel face. That's how you tell a joke.
That's the Nate Bushing eel face.
Right. All right, so we'll see. But maybe we did isolate it to it matters more for sim, because I certainly got mine for sim racing. You're thinking about yours Yes, for PC gaming, but also in anticipation for Star
Citizen, and also,
So,
for any space sims in the future or anything like that, too.
Does that one come with like a nice like fan clip so you can like have your hair? Well, I guess it's not a problem.
It's
No,
not
no
really...
wind, no wind in space.
No. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want space inside
Space
your.
wind?
Spaceman?
No, you don't want.
Say space wind.
Space wind. The sound of the air escaping from my brain as it explodes from that concept.
Right. So anyway, since we are totally dumbfounded now, I think we'll go out on that note. If you do enjoy these videos, certainly like the video below and let us know what you think in the comments. If you've got topic ideas for us or want to see something that perhaps we haven't touched on yet, certainly let us know. And if for other updates and whatnot, head over to facebook.com/fairlyawesomepodcast, or you can also follow us on Twitter at FAPcast. That's FAPcast.
Where you may also see other stuff Ryan has touched on.
No.
I think Twitter has user license agreements against that sort of thing.
Send us your feedback.
Yes.
We want your feedback.
We really do. So if you like it or you want to see something different, let us know. I think we're going to be a little bit of a hiatus. We'll be back in 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks.
Yep.
So
It's okay. We still love you.
So that'll be...
It's us. It's us. It's not you. It's us.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
We're the limo drivers.
Right. Thanks for watching, guys.
I do not understand that reference.
Really?
Nah, sorry.
No.
No.
I was going to say, it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming all over. The goddamn walls. That's why they're white. I hope it doesn't make that noise when cool down.
Cool down,
I really hope it doesn't make that noise when you come. You might want to get something checked out.
Why is there so much air in there?
It's like a queen.
It's a dweef.
A dweef.
Dick fart.
Oh,
Jesus.
Like a rubber hose flapping around.
Somebody secure that line.
Honey, I can't stop it. Just let it finish.
Peter North. How many ropes are there? Oh God, you can never tell.
I'm painting a canvas. All right, we're done. Let's do this.
Holy Christ.
That boy paints with semen.
Somebody's got to do it.